in between did I? Thank you for the nice words, guys. Okay, I'm live on YouTube. Let me wait until people join. Apologies for what happened just now. And apologies for my messy hair. Let me open my presentation because today I really want to discuss on how to do business in Africa. For a while, I have been talking about this on TikTok, on YouTube, on every platform, honestly. And there has been a lot of, I think, rumors, misconceptions. Because I don't show everything. It's very hard to show what you do in Africa because we do everything from a distance, and it's not just me. I have people, have a whole team who work on this on the ground. In Ethiopia, we have staff. For example, in Kenya, we have staff. In Ghana, we have staff. So I am not always present there in order to teach you what I'm doing. I am trying to change that, in all honesty, because I do feel that visually people learn more, which makes sense. But before we start there, I need you to understand the basics, and that really starts with understanding the market, and just go at it step by step. So today, I'm going to start. I'll give you a presentation first, and then later we'll move on to the questions. And if I can explain more by then, I'll do that. So, my target audience with this, by the way, is the diaspora. So, diaspora meaning people who live outside of Africa, who want to return, can be direct diasporas, but can also be African Americans. And along the way, I hope to inspire and teach the Africans in Africa as well, because the information basically goes for you. It also applies to you. Anyway, so if you are considering to return to Africa, I could start by asking you, where would you start? What would you do? Like, you want to return to Africa, whether it's to live or to start a business. Where would you start? Do you actually know where the starting point is? And by the way, if you have an answer, feel free to answer me. I'm also live on TikTok here on the side. Although my focus is on you guys, YouTube, I might pick a question or two from here. So if you want to invest in Africa or move, or you want to do anything in Africa, where do you start? What would you do? I'm really curious to learn, because is there actually a starting point? Would you start by choosing a country? Would you start, if you want to invest, would you start with a company name? Would you start by sending money to someone or someplace? I wonder, because in all honesty, the latter, so the last thing that I mentioned, is where the most, or let's say the majority of diaspora start. They send money to their friends or family after some cute story that they've heard about the opportunities that they've heard. And yes, there are a lot of opportunities. But honestly, that's a big mistake. And I mean it, it's a big mistake. I know we love our families. I know we love our friends. I know we respect our neighbors, ex community, blah, blah, blah. But we love them as friends or family or whoever they are, because we have a relationship with them. Doesn't mean we can do business with them. You don't just send money without knowing if the opportunity is even legit, and how deep does the regulation of the country goes in protecting you. So the first thing you need to understand is Africa is not a job market. Okay, you cannot just one day think, you know what, I'm going to move back, or I'm going to go to Africa, find a job, and live my life happily ever after, like the US or Europe. Unfortunately, it does not work like that. It's really a builder's market. I always say Africans are born entrepreneurs, but not because we want to, because we have to. uh, if you struggle, you have to find a way, one way or the other. You have to find a way. So that makes us builders naturally, whether we like it or not, whether we're tired or not, whether we're hungry or not, we have to find our own way in building that infrastructure. Same goes for diaspora. If you ever want to build a sustainable life there, you have to not just build your life, but also build your business. So if you're looking for employment, it's going to be a hard, a tough job, literally. But if you are a builder already, you could start building something. So, okay, if you want to build something, what would be step one? I would say my personal advice would be find something that you want to do. And how do you find that? It's generally by spotting a problem. What can you do better? Especially if you already live in the West. Like you don't even have to look for it. It's literally in front of you, probably. What do you see working in Africa that you use in the West? Can be something simple, can be literally the toilet that you're sitting on. Like, oh, my toilet is flushing perfectly, or with like, I don't know, the seat, in Japan, for example, they have these heated seats on like toilet seats. I don't know why it is. It is life changing. It is life changing for the ones that have never been to Japan or Korea and never experienced it. I know this is a strange topic or example, but it's honestly life changing once you experience it. So somebody should introduce it to the African market. Otherwise, we will never see that product in that continent. This is just an example. It could be, I'm trying to look for something. It could literally be as simple as a bag or a case, a holder, something that is, um, different from the products that are already known on the market. It doesn't have to be something super unique. In fact, the less unique it is, the easier it will be for you because the product is already known. I just have to tell them like, oh, this is a bag, which you already know, but it has an extra pocket on the inside, or it is convenient because you can put more stuff in it. Name something else. Tell me, what do you like? Let's come up with ideas in the meantime. This is my favorite thing to do. Find a problem, find a solution, and sell it. And no, you don't have to be the first. Keep repeating this. Nobody wants to fund or buy from somebody simply because they're the first. Makes no sense. Makes no sense. It's not a status. Just on LinkedIn, maybe it's a status, but it doesn't convert to money. And at the end of the day, down the line, as investors, we don't even care if you're the first. We just want a good product. You could be the 100th. I don't care. Just make a good product. And also in Africa, you really have to consider the infrastructure. You know how many people build apps and then the app is great, functions like super smoothly, is the best thing. And then when it comes to the actual work, there's no supply chain. There's no like delivery apps. They're great. You see these delivery apps. Oh, we are in Kenya. We launched in Uganda. No, first of all, you launched in the capital. That's a whole different story. You launched in Kampala. You launched in Nairobi, or maybe in other big cities, but you haven't launched in the whole country because it's impossible. The infrastructure is not there. People forget to invest in actual infrastructure. And that's where the money is most of the time. Something that is just as simple as butter, as they say, it's a Dutch saying, by the way. But it's as simple as something that we use every day, but nobody thought about the whole supply chain. They just want the end product. So the richest families on this world, not just in Africa, also outside, they are rich because they have a manufacturing in tires. Or they supply to the car industry. The car is the end product, but they make goods for the materials to make that car. Why is nobody making that? We have tons. Just to give you an example, in Africa there are tons of garages. Why is nobody making or creating an actual like manufacturing for these supplies, the car supplies? Because we have a shortage for certain brands, why can't we replicate them if we cannot get the materials or um, the I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know anything about cars, but what are they called? The items that you need. You know, when your car breaks down and you need to replace something in your car. I don't know what they're called, but nobody manufactures or replicates whatever is needed while the demand is there. I hope I'm making sense here. It's just quite complicated to make people understand that the opportunity is literally in front of you. Um, so let's start there. I wanted to continue, but let's leave it here. Let it marinate. Think about it, and we can get back to this if necessary. Car parts, yeah, car parts. But I thought there was a name. Again, it's not my industry. I'm not a car fan, or I have no idea. If you ask me to fix a car while we're together, you know, and the car would break down, we would end up there. There's no way of me saving you. So that's how bad I am when it comes to car parts. So, okay, let's move on. So I have a presentation here. And okay, so step one is find the problem, clarity. Like, what do you want to do? So ask yourself, you know, what problem do people already pay for every single day? Like, what is that? What people spend money every day. You can literally go follow people. They call it stalking these days. But if you would follow someone every day, but it is something you should do. What are people doing? Just follow them. When do you see their wallets coming out? What is that moment that triggers them to pay? You know, it's just like, I think the easiest example would be like, we have food at home, we have a kitchen at home, but we still go to restaurants. And every time there's a new restaurant opening, doesn't mean they don't sell. You know, you don't have to be the first restaurant in order to sell. In fact, we have the millionth restaurant, maybe, still sells. So the more unique you are, the harder it will be for you to sell. Okay, so find the problem and don't go off of hype. Online is, you know, the whole thing that you see online can be very toxic. Sometimes you feel like, oh, this is a hype, this is cool, this is nice. You act on it, and then the hype dies, and there you are with your product. So don't do that. Like I said, basics: food, water, power, healthcare, housing, education, the basics. Stay there, because Africa has all these things already, I know, but the quality can be very bad for, you know, from the industries that I mentioned. Infrastructure and supply chain. Make sure the whole supply chain is filled with quality, you know, services or products. If that's not the case, we will never reach the top level. Until we reach the top level, there's always a business to be made or to generate money from that. Always. Okay. Step two, I put here choosing a focus. What I mean by that is choose a country. Africa has 54 countries. Because you're Kenyan doesn't mean you have to do business in Kenya. Because you're Ethiopian doesn't mean you have to do business in Ethiopia. In fact, it's much easier sometimes to start a business in a neighboring country or another country. The good thing about Africa is that we're quite different, yet very similar at the same time, I would say. So you would understand the mentality of your neighboring countries. The reason why I'm saying is don't just focus on your own country. It's not because I want to discourage you to not invest in your country. In fact, you should, but once you have more experience. The African market is no joke. If one person hates you, if you make one mistake, they will burn you to the ground. That process will be harder if you focus on a different market than you live in. At least they cannot take your house or they cannot destroy your life. So let's say you live in Kenya and you invest in Ethiopia, at least there's a barrier. There's so much they can do to destroy you. And it sounds like something that would never happen, but believe me, it happens so often. So if you're new, you might as well try a market outside your jurisdiction. So that's why I keep promoting Africa. Ethiopians, Kenyans, Ugandans, South Africans, wherever you are, try to do business or try your idea or company or whatever you want to build outside of where you live. I think that's the best way to describe it. So choose a country. Choose a country. Choose one problem. I mentioned the supply chain, but choose one supply in the chain first before you build a whole supply chain. One problem, one country. That's where you start. And if you already speak English, why not go for an English-speaking African country? Makes things a lot easier. If you speak French, that is your how did they say it? Like unfair advantage? Use that. It is a big advantage if you speak French on the African market. There are so many already targeting the English speaking markets in Africa. If you speak French, you have another big area to capture within the continent. So choose, and my personal advice is to think big. So you choose a country, you choose a problem. What is your end goal? And then from that end goal, you work backwards. Okay, in order to achieve that end goal, what steps do I have to take? So it's not like, where do I start? It's actually, where do I want to end this journey? And then from that journey, so what is like the top like line? When are you satisfied? From that moment, you work backwards. It doesn't mean that end goal will remain the same. Of course, you can grow as you get bigger. You can extend, or you can add your to your how do you say this, end destination. I mean, that can vary. I get it, but for now, what is that end line? Where is that? From that end line, you work backwards. Okay, what can I achieve now? So I want to be, I don't know, I want to be the richest Ethiopian in South Africa. Let's say that could be a goal. Super random, but I get it. Okay, then in order to become the richest Ethiopian in South Africa, how much money do I need to have, first of all? Okay, this much. How much money do I have now? Maybe zero. Okay, then there are maybe 100 steps in between, maybe 1,000 steps. So you need to take 1,000 steps back. At, let's say, 999, can I reach that? No. 998, can I reach that? No. Okay, 900, can I reach that now? No, also not possible. You go all the way down to whatever you can reach, maybe step 2, 3, and then you build up. Because without an end vision, it's going to be one hell of a thing to figure out. Simply because the market is very hard. You don't have your eyes on the prize. You can get distracted easily, and there's going to be a lot of road blockage. So without your vision clear, I don't think you're going to push through or survive. So focus. What do you want? What is your end goal? What is your prize? Then step 3, obviously, research, due diligence, observation. Before you actually make the investment, you need to talk to people that have understanding of what you are going to do. You need to surround yourself with the right people. I'm going to repeat this one, and this is one of the most important aspects. You need to surround yourself with the right people. If you are not in the process right now to reaching your goal, then the people that you have around you right now are never going to make sure you get there, because otherwise you would have been on your way, or you already reached that level. Your friends are cute, nice, they love you, your family loves you, but they are not the people who are going to help you succeed. Let that sink in. You need the right people to get you to your destination. These people will not get you there. In fact, you might lose a few in the journey. Be prepared for that. So talk to the people that already are in that process or already reached that level. And this might be a bitter pill to swallow, but your current community has not gotten you there yet, and they never will. So you need to surround yourself with the right people. Start by talking to lawyers, start by talking to maybe advisors, accountants, anything that could help you in the process of gaining information. Okay? So also watch your competitors. And this is why you don't want to be the first. Watch your competitors. Having competition is healthy, people. You want people to compete with you so you can be better. That's one. But two, you can learn from them. Copying is much easier than inventing. Why just not copy and just change a little and that's it? That's it. So this is why you want competition. Competition is a healthy thing. You don't want to over compete, but believe me, competition is what you want. So have a look at what they're doing and analyze the problem. Because if you already have competition, you just look at what they're doing and see how they tackle a problem and make sure you do the same. See where you can improve. So if there's already competition, what can you do to improve that journey for the customer? What can you do to make it better? And of course, understand the people and the mentality that buy from you. And that is part of marketing. But I think that can also wait until you figure out what you want to do. But understanding your people, what they want to hear, what they want to see, will make the process much easier. But that's a sales process. So that's later in the phase, honestly. Let's see. So the next step I mentioned is that if you live abroad, if you're a diaspora, then you actually have quite some knowledge that people on the ground in Africa don't have access to. Systems. Although I hate systems personally, it's lacking in Africa. Everything is there, but then there is no proper system. If this happens, this will happen. If this goes like this, then this will happen and we take action. If this goes wrong, then we escalate it to that one. If this would collapse or fail, we call that one. It's a whole system on how things in an industry works. So people will know if things escalate, who will take over. This is a dead end in multiple African countries. So let's take healthcare, because I mentioned it. Let's take healthcare as an example. If I'm sick, I go to the hospital. If something happens, I collapse, then generally nurses or doctors or the ER, whatever personal takes over. So they help me. But what if something unexpected happened? There has to be a system where someone has to know, okay, we call that doctor, or we do this and this, or in case of an emergency, we take this and this action. I hope that all hospitals in Africa have this in place, but I can bet serious money, that it's not the case. Maybe the big hospitals here and there, but it's always a dead end. At some point, it's like, we didn't know, or that person didn't pick up. That's why you need a system. That person needs to be aware of the fact that they need to pick up. Otherwise, there are consequences for that doctor or person. There needs to be a system. That's all I'm trying to say. If you work overseas, you have experience with systems because, especially in the West, they are in place. Processes, documentations, all these things are quite important, but systems are maybe the most important thing. Bring the system with you if you're a diaspora. Start observing wherever you live. Start observing, like, what is the system where I live? Can I bring that with me? Is that something I can introduce in the industry? And then the last step, start small. Start small. Don't send a bunch of money to family. Start small. But most importantly, start by yourself. Go to that place and check. Talk to lawyers, talk to the professionals, like I mentioned, but then you have to be on the ground yourself. Unfortunately, it's not a market where you can be absent and hope for the best. Unfortunately, I wish, but it's not like that. You really have to go there and show yourself once in a while. You don't have to be present all the time like before, but you have to be present once in a while. So when you start, make sure you're there. This is even in the West. There's no such thing as I don't think it like physical connection and physical presence. Nothing beats that. Nothing. Africa is like that, and also because it's very human driven. Everything works through people. It's very important that you're there. So it's not like you can hop on a Zoom call and things will be arranged without a relationship that you've built prior to that. I don't think that's going to work. So start small, grow it, and have one hell of a patience, okay? One hell of a patience. Because you didn't get an answer within 2 working days doesn't mean you're getting scammed. You're actually lucky if you get a response at all. And if you're very lucky, within 2 weeks. So calm. Nothing is going to happen. Don't flip. Don't freak out. Chill. Patience. Patience is very important. So again, don't start by sending funds to family. Don't hire family even. Don't hire family. I know it's the easiest way, but don't do it. Find a professional to do it for you. Generally, it's cheaper than wherever you are right now. It's cheap. Hire a professional, please, and don't get stuck into messy situations because you cannot say no to your family. Stop announcing plans to the whole village, and just do it. Like I said, small. Register company. Don't do that too early. We don't need to do that. Start by exploring the market. Nobody cares if the company is registered if it's just a plan. Okay. And also, company registration also is something that needs to be looked into, but we'll do that at a later stage. This is more of a for the expert phase because you need to know where to position your company because repatriation is also a headache on its own. In order to repatriate, you need to structure your company prior, you need to structure it well prior to starting. Because once you start making money and once you start paying tax, repatriation can be a headache, I'm telling you. So, but this is for a later stage. So, rushing, nope. I mean, you can rush, but you're the only one rushing and literally tiring because you're rushing. Um, and position. So this is the most important things that I could mention right now. And start with a problem, analyze, understand, think about where you want to start, choose a country, and just start slow. Forget about family, forget about your friends, work with professionals from the get go, makes things easier. Being in a foreign country and working with foreigners create a certain distance that makes you comfortable to anticipate if something goes wrong. So, yeah, this is it. This is everything for today. If you have questions, I saw a few comments here. I really want to move to Ethiopia. I think you should do it. I think you should do it, especially if you live in the US. I think you should do it. Uh, okay, let me see if we have some questions here. I have some cash. Where can I invest? Well, I just explained it. Wherever you see a problem, and don't invest in anything that I or someone says here on the internet. We don't know you. Don't do anything without research. So, but like I said, I just mentioned the industries that I feel is. Sorry, I'm having this thing. I don't know this whole Apple these Apple products are just not for me. Food industry, water, and when I say water, it's not just drinking water, by the way. It's also like the water cleaning, um, dams, like water management is a whole industry on its own. Power, because what is going on with power in Africa? We cannot be out of power every time there's a raindrop. It's insane that it's still like that. If you can improve it, please do. Healthcare, and with healthcare, also pharma, logistics, easier logistics, quicker logistics, housing, whether it's plumbing, electrical work, construction, education. These things will never go out of fashion. Never. Um, Okay. What about tech industry? I would not advise it. Tech, if something, if okay, so we have the most powerful man right now, Trump, is so unpredictable. If this guy tries to bomb any country right now, the first thing we will stop spending money on is tech. All these games or nonsense that I'm spending money on will be gone instantly. It's not recession proof. And the current state of this world, I don't know if you read the news, but we have no idea what's going to happen. We can literally wake up tomorrow and there's a bomb dropped. So tech is cute, but without the proper infrastructure, I don't know. I wouldn't advise it now. If you already have like several streams of income, then yes, you can. Sure. Let's see. I'm looking for an investor in Uganda. I know you do business. I would like to share my business plan. Okay. Send me a message. No, wait. Email on invest@nile.africa. I will type it. Send me a message. It's much easier. Send me a message. I'm Ethiopian living in Canada, but I don't know what to do with the cash. I just mentioned the industries. But because you're Ethiopian doesn't mean you have to invest in Ethiopia. I know Ethiopian people can be quite harsh when it comes to this topic. They feel like you should only invest in Ethiopia. Don't. If that's not what you feel like doing, don't. We could just easily go to Ghana, which has a better infrastructure. We could easily go to South Africa first before we move the funds to Ethiopia. If you want to invest in Ethiopia, know that there are some hurdles, but you can still do it. You can still do it. In my example, I never entered the Ethiopian investment market. My parents did, and because of them, now that I inherited it, I get to deal with it. This year will be the first year where I will actually be making investments in Ethiopia. Believe me, it's much harder than the other African markets. Where are you based in? I live in Dubai. Let's see. If you have questions here on YouTube, by the way, you can also ask me. How is Rwanda's environment? Rwanda is doing well. In all honesty, I think Rwanda, no, not Egypt, Morocco, Rwanda, and there's another country. I think it's Nigeria, but correct me if I'm wrong. They're kind of fighting to become Africa's hub. So they want to be the Silicon Valley of Africa. And I think Rwanda and Morocco are the biggest. It's neck on neck, basically. So Rwanda is actually doing good. The thing is, it's quite a small market, but it's a good market to actually test things on. But it's like nowhere near Ethiopia. Ethiopia has a bigger market. The whole infrastructure, for foreigners, it's one of the most closed markets they've ever encountered. It's not like Ghana or South Africa or Nigeria. Ethiopia is a very closed market compared to others. So if you consider investing in Ethiopia, know this, understand this. Okay, I think for now I can close off the live stream on YouTube. I really want to thank you for being here. If you have questions, let me know in the comments, or feel free to follow me. It's not a must. Feel free to follow me on Instagram. I try to share a lot of knowledge there as well. Knessa Mulune or European Habesha, whatever you feel comfortable with. And I'll do these live streams weekly or bi-weekly, depending on the demand. So thank you again for being here, and I will see you at my next. Let's see.